Hey, this is Hans from Dakota Angler and Outfitter. In this video we are tying a Marabou Murdich Minnow, an updated version of the Murdich Minnow that uses marabou instead of bucktail for the tail. I'm doing this for warm water, and I've got a B10S stinger hook in the vise from Gamakatsu. Great super sharp all-purpose warm water stinger hook. If you wanted to tie this for salt water, you could use a stainless steel hook, but this is just a great warm water fly. I'm going to use 100 denier gel spun. And I laid down a little base of super glue on the hook first, and that just kind of gives me a nice thread base so that things don't slip around after the fly's tied. So, like I said, the tail's going to be marabou. So I've got some nice marabou blood quills here. I took 2 feathers, lined them up. I like having it pretty full with 2 feathers. And I've got the curve down. You could do the curve up. I don't know if it really makes that much difference, but curve down. And I'm going to have the fly be about 5 inches long. On my vise here, I know 5 inches is going to be backed by this joint here. So I know I'm going to put some flash that's going to overhang the tail a little bit. So I'll tie these marabou feathers in here. Kind of get some nice wraps in, see how that looks. So far so good. Now I can trim out those stems. It's important, whichever version of a Murdich you're tying, you want to build up a bit of an underbody with your materials on the hook, and that kind of helps fill out the head a little bit. Okay, so this version I'm doing a gold and white. So I've got some gold polar flash that I'm going to use. You do this any number of color schemes, but the gold one is a really great one. Kind of classic would be like silver and white, gray and white. Same thing as on a normal Murdich. I'm going to overhang the tail. So I got a pretty good clump of flash. It's going to overhang the marabou by about 1 inch. I'm going to tie it down, and I'm going to leave my ends, give myself at least a couple inches hanging over, because I'm going to fold that back and have some flash get folded back as part of my collar. So tie that in on the top of the marabou. Okay. Next we're going to tie in our collar material. And I'm going to use crystal hackle from Hairline Dubbin in clear. This is the large crystal hackle. Kind of like a clear version of polar flash. There we go. Tie that in back here. I'm going to wrap that with the fibers facing backwards. Just get few wraps stacked in there. Keep folding it back as you go. And that's good right there. Just building up a little bit of a transition from that marabou to our head of the fly. Okay, now we can take our remaining flash and fold it back, tie that down, and now we'll tie in our chenille for our head. that's going to be the large pearl cactus chenille. This is nice because it's a really full chenille. It makes a head on a Murdich nice and full without having to wrap too much material on. Just keep folding all of your fibers back as you go. That gives you a nice dense head. And get upright next to the eye. And fold everything back. And we can whip finish. Okay. Clean things up a little bit, make sure my flash on the top is kind of even with the collar. Check my tail. Looking good. Okay. Now we'll color our head. And just to go with the theme, I'm going to do kind of a tannish color, gold color. Saturate that. There we go. Now for some eyes, we're going to do living eyes from Flyman. I'm going to use the wind color, which is kind of a golden brown. There's a couple ways to do this. You can find your spot for your eye and take some Loctite, put it on the back of the eye, or you could put it right on the fly. I'll just put a little dot on the fly, or excuse me, on the back of the eye. Kind of get it roughly where I want it and just touch it lightly. Go to the other side. Do the same. Make sure it's lined up kind of like you want it. Now what I like to do then is take either my scissor point or something other than my finger, just push that eye into the fly, and then go on the other side. Get it roughly where I want. Do the same. Just don't want to stick your finger to the eye, which is easy to do. Sometimes you have to hold it a little bit, let that Loctite sink in a little bit. Okay. And then over time you can, as that Loctite starts to sink in a bit, you can press the eyes in just a little bit more. Last thing I'll do is just kind of taper that head just a little bit. And there we go. We've got a Marabou Murdich Minnow. So the added movement from that marabou gives the fly a little different different action in the water than the bucktail, and really swims quite a bit more, has a bit more wiggle. Just a cool variation on the Murdich minnow. Definitely one to add to your fly box for fishing for smallmouth bass, but just a great warm water streamer in general. I'm Hans from Dakota Angler and Outfitter. Thanks for watching.